On this episode, we smoke the Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer, and we are pairing it with the Rabbit Hole Dareringer PX Sherry Cask Finished Bourbon. This is an AJ Fernandez collab with a Connecticut Broadleaf wrapper, a Brazilian binder, and Nicaraguan filler from the regions of Ometepe, Jalapa, and Condego. I'm your host, Johnny Midas, and you're listening to Burn Line Podcast. Burn Line Podcast. The burn line on a well-crafted cigar is straight and sharp as a razor, much like our wit and wisdom. And what's up, everybody? Welcome to Burn Line Podcast, coming to you not live from the Hot Box, the smoky back room where deals are struck and fortunes are made, adjacent to the Blanco Cigar Lounge, nestled among the complex of rooms that comprises Union Cigar, Hanover, Pennsylvania, USA, the only Blanco Lounge in North America. I'm your host, Johnny Midas. With me is your other host, Nick the Brick McCann. Nick, how are we doing this morning?
Dude, it's pronounced like Dareringer. I'm reading this right now. It's pronounced like Dareringer. Do you read Whiskey Advocate?
Whiskey, yeah.
It's like a website blog kind of thing. Yeah, apparently it's, they say it's pronounced like Dareringer.
Well, I mean, that would make sense. It's just, like, spelled wrong.
Dareringer.
It's spelled Dareringer, like mashed together.
Pronounced like Dareringer.
Dareringer
is made with 68% corn, 18% wheat, and 14% malted barley. The whiskey's name is a nod to Zamanian's wife.
So, yeah, we are smoking the Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer. We are smoking the 6x58, so nice chunky cigar here. We mentioned before the show, not really our wheelhouse, right? Both of us really, I think 54 is my absolute top-out preferred, but we'll smoke this big guy. And, of course, this is a AJ Fernandez collaboration, and we're actually pairing it with the Rabbit Hole Dareringer. This is a Kentucky Straight Bourbon whiskey. We'll talk a little bit about Rabbit Hole, but it is finished in PX Sherry casks from Spain. It is 93 proof, which is 46.5% alcohol by volume for those of you that are keeping score at home. So it'll be pretty cool to see how these kind of fit together. And also, we're going to talk about, the weather's changing. It's getting colder outside, smoking outside, which most of us smoke cigars either in a lounge or outside, right? How you can prep for the colder weather and keep enjoying those cigars in the colder temperatures. All right, so a little bit about presentation on this cigar.
Jeez, man. Covered in paper.
It is covered in paper.
Holy bands.
Yeah, it's got a thick, kind of cool, the main cigar band is cut so that it looks like an angle, like a slash, like it's going angled across the cigar.
That's too much.
With the little, like the D for Deisel is like in a circle that pops out from the band.
If I'm working at the band factory,
you're really like angry, right?
I'm complaining about this.
At least where it comes together, it's like a normal band.
Yeah,
right? They kept those ends straight.
If my boss is telling me that I have to make 5,000 of these, 20,000 of these, I'm rolling my eyes.
So it's pretty cool because it's like like the texture is kind of like a parchment paper. It's flat with some slightly matte gold, and it's like gold, not like the shiny fake gold, right? And it's got this purple color that is carried through on the Rabbit Hole Dareringer bottle. I'm holding them up, and you can see the paper is actually the same identical texture.
Oh, nice!
But the color is actually different.
Are the angles the same too with the color?
Yes.
Wow.
It matches the Rabbit Hole.
Holy cannoli!
Like they put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the only thing that honked me off was like, so on the Rabbit Hole Dareringer, there's actually two different colors of purple, right?
I gotcha.
And the Deisel band doesn't match any of them.
So yeah, the Deisel band is markedly darker.
Yeah, so it's close and it's color palette adjacent, but it doesn't match. So call me an asshole for noticing that, but I did notice it. And then down at the foot, you got this big ass 1.5 inch band of cream colored paper with like the It's like the faint pinstripes, like one of those old Virginia Slims.
Yeah.
It's got the rabbit hole PX sherry cask.
It's like a cigarette paper, cigarette filter, or something like that.
It kind of does, doesn't it? It's cool looking.
Yeah.
I really, really like it. The amount of money they put into banding this is like significant. You know, I know something about stamping bands and getting them created. Like probably the dye, just the dye to make this was probably $40,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not like they could take any other band and just change the colors or something.
What did you do to your finger?
Oh, I cut it.
That's disgusting. Can you cover that up?
Can I? Yes. Will I? No.
I don't want to look at that.
No, it has to breathe.
That's gross.
Here, let me squeeze the pus out.
Oh, man. All right.
All right, so looking at the actual cigar, this wrapper is pretty damn gorgeous. It's a dark Madero. It has got bloom on it.
Bloom?
Yeah.
What in the?
You know, like when you got those speckles on it, that's like from age.
Bloom.
Yeah. Age speckling. Yeah. Not very toothy, but the veins are pronounced, and also like lighter color. We know what that's from. So we are smoking the Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer. That's a mouthful cigar, and it is a mouthful because it's a 6x58. The cigar is got a Connecticut Broadleaf wrapper, nice Maduro finish. It's got a lot of this pilling, this bloom on it.
It's dark, smooth, but like a little rough.
It's got the pebbles, the bloom, I call it.
I think you're looking for the word toothy.
No, it's not toothy though.
It's not toothy at all.
It's not really toothy, but it's got the little spots from age, the age spots on it. I call that bloom.
You're gonna have to get this under microscope and I'm gonna need you to circle what you're talking about.
Right, yeah. We'll we need to like do a visual and post it online for people. This is what we're talking about. It's got Brazilian binder, and then the filler is Nicaraguan. But I noticed that what is missing from the Nicaraguan is Esteli. So it's got all of the other Nicaraguan regions.
It's the binder that's barrel aged, I believe, right?
Yes, the binder is barrel aged.
So this is actually similar to the Weller, because the Weller's wrapper was not barrel aged, but the binder was.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think there's a reason for that, which is, from what I've heard, the barrel aging doesn't really improve the burn rate. Yeah, the combustion is compromised a little bit. Yeah. So that's what we're smoking today. Really interesting. Actually, sounds like something AJ would come up with.
Oh yeah.
And I think a little bit of a contrast with I think Deisel is probably famous in a lot of lounges around the country for being a good, affordable cigar.
Right. And strong, I think.
And strong.
Yeah.
Yep. This one sounds strong, although it's actually advertises like a mid-body, so we'll find out. All right. Well, I want to get smoking this thing, man.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
It is time for our official cutting, and our official cutting is brought to you by Fat Boy Cigars. The bold and delicious flavors of premium hand-selected tobacco leaves are highlighted in the original Jacked cigar by Fat Boy Cigars. And don't forget to try the Fat Boy Cigars Boots on the Ground series. For every cigar you purchase in this series, Fat Boy Cigars will donate $1 to charities benefiting our frontline heroes. Fat Boy Cigars, welcome to the Fat Boys world. And I am clipping my cigar with my Craftsman's Bench double guillotine open-ended. Nick, you have got your double guillotine close-ended.
I'm clipping my cigar with authority.
With authority. All right. No limp-wristed cutting allowed. That firm, authoritative clip will remind the tobacco who's in charge.
Yeah. Tell them they get sometimes a little mouthy.
And we are just tapping the dottle out of the cut end right now on the back of our hand. And I got a pretty good clean cut.
Heckity yeah, man. This is awesome. I'm so excited for this. Deisel. AJ Fernandez Deisel Rabbit Hole.
So,
Dareringer.
Rabbit Hole Dareringer, yeah. And it is time for our official lighting. And we remind you, as always, toasted, not roasted. Gently toast that cigar with love. It's the old good cop, bad cop. Or should I say bad cop, good cop. You've got to clip it with authority and roast it with love. Toast it with love. Don't blow it away. It is so easy with our 17-flame, electronically powered rocket ship motors that they sell as lighters nowadays. Go ahead and take the time to just get it toasted up. Look how perfect that cherry is.
Wow. They should call this cherry cask.
No. Nope.
Ooh. Holy, no infusion flavor. Wow. There is like hardly anything that I'm tasting as far as infusion goes or, barrel aging. Very subtle.
Yeah, so the tobacco is aged in bourbon barrels, although ironically they don't say which bourbon. I'm assuming it's Rabbit Hole Dareringer. But
Southern Comfort.
yeah. So definitely not an infused cigar. I'm getting a very strong atypical char flavor on the first couple. Atypical.
Yeah.
Char flavor on the first couple of puffs. It's interesting. I don't have a lot of nuance right now.
No.
It tastes like leather and char, I think, to me right now.
Yeah.
I have to give it a half inch or so. I mean, there's definitely floral notes in there. Those are going to come out, I think, in a little bit.
Straight bourbon whiskey finished in PX. What is PX?
So it's like the ranking of the sherry. Kind of like, cognac has like XO, VSOP. You know.
Oh, wait. What? Really?
Yeah.
Twice finished in new toasted charred American oak barrels. Sherry cask. Never. So what's this chill filtered thing? Like when they filter it out, it's not cold.
Yeah, some distilleries filter their bourbon chilled, and from the people that I've talked to that are in the industry who chill filter, they will tell you that that particular blurb is pure marketing BS.
Oh.
The chilling is to preserve the consistency and flavor, is what they say, the people that do it. And Rabbit Hole says they're doing that to hide impurities, and so they never chill it. And then the counter argument is they can't afford to chill it, and and it just goes back and forth.
Yeah,
so,
right.
Like, I don't distill whiskey, and I don't care if it's a good whiskey. It's a good whiskey, right? So to me, that's just marketing.
Would you chalk it up to like the Jefferson's Sea Barrel?
Oh,
would you
well,
say it's
yeah,
like one of those
kind of
things?
gimmicky.
Yeah.
Well, I mean the Jefferson Ocean, other than the price, which I think is outrageous, it tastes good. Like, it does taste kind of briny.
I'm sold on the gimmick. I mean, I think it's so cool.
But yeah, it's a little gimmicky.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even honestly, finished in sherry casks is a little gimmicky.
Is it?
Yeah, in the bourbon world, like, so Angel's Envy is the famous one that's, finished in port casks. And
oh, really? Every single one, like, of the regular production Angel's Envy is finished in, wow, okay.
The M81, right? You remember that from episode whatever that was?
Yeah.
Metallica collab.
Yeah.
That's finished in casks. I think it's like black currant brandy or something that it's finished in. I can't remember.
Jeez. I bought a bottle of Basil Hayden's last year that was finished in red wine casks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, Basil's is famous for being kind of spicy for bourbon.
Right.
That sounds like an interesting combo. But yeah, like the finishing in barrels that have been used to age other products is a little gimmicky. Bourbon was just fine before they started doing that.
Right.
It's still just fine. And most of people's favorite bourbons are not finished that way.
Hey, man, it's recycling, all right? They're using the barrel twice. Single-use barrel.
Yeah, but what releases more carbon, cutting down a white oak tree or a truck to carry them from Spain back to Ohio.
That's right. Yep. All the way from
Right.
the truck that drives all the way from Spain to Ohio.
It's a long drive, man.
Dude, this cigar's not bad. I'm like pleasantly surprised right now that I've recoiled. I am who I am to all our listeners out there, and I won't apologize for it. But I will feel bad for it later. And when I saw that Johnny Midas pulled out a 6x58, I think I said something like, "What the hell?" Or John, how am I supposed to fit that in my mouth? Which, so 58s, we like to smoke small gauges. We smoked a lot of small gauges on the show, and that's just kind of the MO that I pick my cigars by is, the smaller the better in terms of gauge, just because of that wrapper flavor.
I mean, I'm the same, man. Like,
yeah.
And I mean, come on, like street tacos, Rojas, like there's even people in the industry that are like, I won't do big ring gauge cigars. Yep. Most producers, they're making what sells, right? But it is a real thing, and I don't blame you. I'm the same way. And I got to admit, I'm 3/8 of an inch in, about 11 millimeters actually, and it does have that slightly flat taste.
Does it?
Bigger ring gauge cigars have.
Say, I'm surprised because this is better than I thought it would be.
It is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's very flavorful. It's not strong. Like if you're used to a lot of Deisel products and their strength, this is not there. At least not yet. I know I'm just into the cigar,
right?
But do you taste that char? It's almost like charcoal. There's like a charcoal flavor, some leather. I'm definitely picking up floral now. It's kind of an interesting floral. Like, it reminds me of chrysanthemums, not like morning glories, which is kind of normal. I think tobacco flowers, they remind me of morning glories.
I'm not getting a whole lot specific right now. We'll come back.
I think the retro hail is where I'm tasting the charcoal. It's very interesting. So we've got this cigar lit up, and I want to smoke it a little bit before we get into the whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
At least, get halfway through the first third.
Yeah.
Burn it down a little bit. And I am also drinking black coffee this morning, per typical. I see you've got some bottled water. Great palate cleanser. Talked about that last week. So socials. No new emails this week. All of you out there in the internets disappoint me terribly. I was hoping you'd be picking on Nick this week, but no such luck. So don't forget, you can connect with us, burnlinepodcast@gmail.com, and follow us on the show's socials, Threads, right? That's the new one.
Yeah.
Instagram, X, used to be Twitter, whatever. That thing is still not dead yet, @Burnline Podcast. So reach out, drop us a line, share a picture, DM us, whatever. If you have anything you'd like us to cover on the show, reach out. It is your show, ladies and gentlemen. Uncommon cigar knowledge for the common cigar smoker.
We have a YouTube channel, I think, too, right?
And we do have a YouTube channel. So it is, it's audio only. It's got like the little sound wave in the background with like the episode picture.
Yeah.
But for those of you that like to listen to stuff on YouTube, you can catch our content there as well.
And you can turn notifications on Spotify.
And you can turn notifications on Spotify.
Someone asked me last week, hey, when do the episodes come out? I listen every week, but I always miss when they release. And I said, hey, that little bell on Spotify that says turn on notifications? Why don't you use that?
That's what it's there for.
I was grabbing their collar and shaking them, like a vandal.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and smoke this a little bit. And after the break, we will pair it up with the whiskey, talk a little bit about the weather change. Before we get into that, Nick, how about our tobacconist tip of the week? And now, your tobacconist tip of the week with Nicholas McCann.
So, my tobacconist tip of the week this week is going to go hand in hand with the topic that we're going to discuss in the next segment, but it is about ashtray maintenance. And so we're gonna clean our ashtrays and we're gonna dump them out, right? So it's always a good idea to have like on your back porch, just like we do in the lounge, a can that you can dump your hot cigar butts or your ash into.
So like not a plastic trash bag.
Please no.
Right.
Please. Yeah, get something metal. Yeah. I mean, it could even be like a I feel like what did they used to make those cans? Like Maxwell House, I feel like used to make coffee in those big cans.
Oh yeah.
Like one of those.
Yeah. Chock full of nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Dump your ash and your butts in there, and then like a day, 2-3 days later, whenever you fill it up, then you can dump it in the trash can. Right.
Yeah, like let it cool down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But use a glass cleaner on your ashtray too. Use Windex, or you can even use Clorox wipes. I like unscented stuff because I've always been conscious of putting my cigar down on that rest.
Yeah.
And just thinking about, I just used that scented Clorox wipe on there. I don't want that to get onto my cigar. But yeah, clean the ashtrays out, especially when you're done, and especially if you're going to put your ashtray away for the season, because it's going to stink less. You're going to be happy and ready for it to be there in the spring when it's time to crack it open again. And just take care of your stuffs.
So my routine on my back porch, I've got one of those deep dish ashtrays with the cigar rests on it. Comes in super handy because it keeps the wind from blowing that ash everywhere.
Nice.
And then I have a trash can, like the kind you put out on the curb, that is next to my back porch under an overhang so that rain doesn't get into it. I mean, it's got a lid, but still. And I will take that and dump it out once it's cool, right into that trash can.
Yep.
Don't want to take that indoors, and cigar ash smells. I don't want to walk that in the house, put it in the kitchen trash, and get yelled at by she who must be obeyed.
Right.
And then I use lemon water on a microfiber cloth.
There you go.
The other thing that I watch out for is I will frequently take my band off and put it in that deep dish, but then that can catch fire and smolder.
It can.
And it really stinks.
Yeah.
Like burning paper can kind of wreck your cigar experience.
Yeah.
It's even worse if it's still on the cigar and it catches fire. But
right.
So I know a lot of guys that have a cigar box or something that they put their bands in, as well as their cellophane, stuff like that.
Yep.
I would recommend keeping those separate from your ashtray. I don't want to put hot ash on cellophane and that stinky, acrid, burning plastic smell. So, Nick, what a great tobacconist tip of the week. I think it is time for a break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we are back in the saddle. So I have got about an inch smoked on this. Look at this ash.
That's
great,
beautiful. Great
burn line, beautiful ash. It's holding together. I would almost be, I'm curious if this is a candidate for longest ash contest.
Ooh.
Did I tell you about the guy that cheated?
No.
Did we talk about that?
No.
Oh, yeah. We used to do this longest ash contest at this one shop I went to down in South Carolina. And, you'd have the guy slouched down with the cigar completely vertical.
Oh, I've done this before.
Yeah. So this guy, his ash is fucking 6 inches. He's getting down to the nub. Everybody's cheering him on. And then he turns the cigar sideways and the ash stays. He had a fucking toothpick in there.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
I was like, you rat.
What a motherfucker, man.
And then he was just laughing his ass off like, haha, I fucked all of you guys.
Oh,
like,
my God.
Dude, I mean, there was no money on the line or
Right.
anything. But, yeah. I was like, oh, wow, you took this way too seriously.
After that, he went out and hustled some kids on the basketball court.
Right. Yeah.
What a guy. Wow, that's amazing.
You want to play pool?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so some flavor notes here. I would say that there is an odd sweet component in here it's not like super sweet, but it's just that mellow sweet that is like aged tobacco sweetness.
Right.
Combined with a sweet floral, they kind of merge together. So it's not that bitter floral. It's like the sweet floral. There's a little bit of spice, but not as much as you might expect from Nicaraguan tobacco. Probably you'll notice the Nicaraguan region that is missing is Esteli, which is kind of famous for spicy tobacco.
Yep.
This is Ometepe, Jalapa, and Condego, so that kind of makes sense. It's more mellow and rounded. And yeah, there's a little bit of that bourbon barrel-aged flavor in there.
Really good blend, man. Really good.
This is a really good blend, man. Like, I'm pleased at the effort. I mean, obviously it's AJ, so he knows what he's doing. He's got a lot of good blends. But, I mean, seeing this on the shelf, it does seem gimmicky, and there's so many, like, whiskey collab cigars that aren't great out there. Buffalo Trace.
Jeez.
But, so I guess my hopes weren't that high.
This is our third one, I think.
Yeah, we did the M81. We
Weller.
did the Weller Cohiba. That was an interesting pairing. Everyone should listen to that episode.
That was, hindsight, that was bizarre.
It was.
Yeah.
Because that cigar without the Weller is a strange cigar.
Yeah, right.
But then you pair it with the Weller, and it's like, oh, wow.
That's
this is
amazing.
a great cigar.
I'm hoping to have an eye-opening experience with this one as well.
Well, on that note, let's go ahead and break open this bourbon. Beautiful bottle. It's got the rabbit cast into the bottle. Go ahead and slide your shot glass over here and get you a little sniff.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, sir.
Laissez le bon temps rouler. All right, so we've got a little bit of this. Again, this is finished in sherry casks. It's 93 proof, so not barrel strength. Like cask strength is usually like 110, 114.
So 46.5%.
Yeah, almost half pure alcohol. But then your regular, your production proof is 80. That's your production whiskey proof. So stronger than that.
So it's somewhere in between then barrel strength and what do they call the
cask strength is regular, and then production strength is your regular 80 proof.
Okay.
So, most of your off-the-shelf whiskeys, unless they're special editions, are 80 proof, somewhere in there.
Right.
Can't be less than 80 or it ain't a whiskey. All right.
Then it's just chocolate milk.
And it's just chocolate milk.
How are you doing this, man? Wait,
Well, I am smelling it first. Nose in the snifter, mouth open. Smells like bourbon. Okay, so I'm definitely getting like raisins or currants in there. There's a little bit of a cherry, I think, but like dried. Definitely dried fruit, and then a little bit of like, I don't know, caramel almond, kind of typical bourbon type of flavors.
Do that thing. Do that again. What'd you get on that?
That's going on fucking Instagram. God. All right, so I'm going to do the mouthful of smoke and slam it first. No. Let's do that second. Let's do the puff, sip, puff first. You want to do that?
Puff, blow out. Sip, swallow.
Sip. Yeah.
Puff again.
Yeah. Let's do that one first. And then with the remainder, we're going to slug it. How does that sound? Woo! All right. So nice draw on this Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer 6x58. Mm-hmm. Roll that around my palate. Exhale. Take a little sip of this. Chew it up. Interesting. Another puff. And there goes my ash. And there goes my ash. That was a solid inch and a half.
Right on the felt.
I'm going to pinch it off the felt. Look at that.
Nice. There you go.
I mean, held together.
That was good. That was really good.
That was good, but what was interesting was I feel like the cigar actually blunted the bourbon. Like, when you're drinking bourbon, the alcohol, it hits your palate hard. Like when you're tasting bourbon, you typically taste the first sip.
Yeah.
And get that alcohol to kind of blunt your senses, and then you take a second one and you can actually taste the flavors.
Right.
So with this, like having that smoke, chewing it and rolling it around my palate, and then Like it really smoothed out for a 93 proof. Really smoothed it out.
It was
It was a lot mellower than I thought it would be.
the bourbon.
Yeah.
Oh man, mine burned.
Well, yeah, you're a rookie.
I am. I am.
Yeah, that was interesting.
It did change the flavors a lot though. It brought out a lot of the cigar flavors and nuances that I hadn't been seeing clearly before.
Yeah, definitely. I think the spice, that's kind of typical when you're pairing with bourbon because of the alcohol, but the spice came out. The floral really blossomed with that. And then the leather kind of like came to the forefront. Like this is actually a leather flavor and not like a tobacco fruit roll up,
Yeah, tobacco fruit roll up. Don't want to. That's FDA is going to get on that real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the bourbon was spicy, but it was it was just hot. Dude, it was really hot for me. I want to do that again. Can I put some water in this?
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. Throw an ice cube in there. Throw a splash of cold water.
What do you think? So one of my drinking mentors, one of the people that taught me how to be a degenerate, was like, yeah, just add drops of water until you like find a good zone that you like.
You can.
What do you think?
I think that it depends on when the whiskey was invented. So if you're talking about Scotch, they didn't have ice. They didn't have an ice market. By the time bourbon was invented, that was a whole thing, and it was not uncommon from the get-go to pour bourbon over ice. And a lot of the strength and flavors are designed to be blunted with that. So I think ice works fine with a lot of bourbons.
Do they blend these bourbons to be drank straight? Drinking straight?
Well, it's one of those, if you talk to a master blender or whatever, there's so many considerations. And if we're being honest, the primary consideration for pretty much all of the producers is economic. And that is to say, like, how are we going to sell this? So there's an entire brand, like, Jack and Coke is a thing. Now, it doesn't say Tennessee Whiskey and Coke, right? It says Jack and Coke. Why? Right? So Jack Daniels is kind of made and marketed and designed to be a mixer, so I haven't met a lot of people that are like, yeah, I'm going to drink Jack Daniels straight. That sounds like a great idea. My palate will love it,
But what came first, the chicken or the egg? Like, did people start mixing it with Coke, and then they were like, hey, man, this is pretty good, and then Jack Daniels was like, oh, we should hop on this.
Well, I mean, as far as the history there goes, I don't know.
Yeah.
What I do know is, price point determines the level of quality you can, kind of bake in.
It lent itself to being a mixer.
Yeah. So, a lot of these, I'm sure that Rabbit Hole Derringer is designed to be good straight, but at 93 proof, they're expecting people to, add to it. 93 is kind of like perfect wheelhouse for a whiskey aficionado that drinks it all the time.
That's what I was going to say. This is like this is like your double Lajero.
Yeah. So like you could drink it straight totally if you're into whiskey. Yeah. Or you can add water, you can add ice or whatever. And it's, it's not going to water it down too much. And then you get into cask strength and it's like, I mean, I know people that drink cask strength straight and it's just not enjoyable to me because it blunts the palate so much. It's just too much alcohol,
I got one for you to try. Can we do puff, sip, puff again?
All right, we're going to do puff, sip, puff again.
I also want to say something real quick before we do this. The smoke output on this is, I think, like a lot of smoke. I mean, it's a 58 gauge, and so I'm getting smoke in my nasal cavities, even when I'm not smoking the cigar. Like, the smoke is everywhere in this room. So I think that's affecting my taste as well.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like, no matter which way I turn my head, I'm getting like a face full of smoke that's just wafting in the air. All right, let's do it. Puff.
Nice, long, slow draw. Whirl that smoke around. Definitely getting a lot of the, like, just general tobacco, floral, vegetal on that. Now we're going to take a little sip of this Rabbit Hole Derringer. I'm chewing that up. No oxygen. Now I'm going to puff again. Yeah, I think it brings out the sweet and spicy in my cigar. I feel like feel like you'd want to be a little sparing in this pairing.
Sparing in the pairing.
Sparing in the pairing.
What the hell do you mean?
Well, it's a strong enough whiskey. You got to be paying attention, because you could get drunk fast off of this, and then you're not going to taste your cigar, right? That's pretty much what I mean. No large Viking quaffs.
Yeah,
of Rabbit Hole Derringer.
We're not taking a swig of Rabbit Hole.
Throw the bottle over your shoulder.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, this is you want a one finger.
This is a gentleman's
one finger at a time.
Yeah, gentleman's pairing, I think. And also the cigar is like it is medium bodied. That's surprising for a Deisel. So it can be overpowered. And then also the blend it's just well blended to where there's not really any flavor that jumps out, which means if you blunt your palate with this whiskey, I can imagine it not being great for the cigar experience. It could just overpower it. So
yeah, because there's nothing standoutish about the cigar to me in terms of flavor or profile or anything like that. Like it's just a medium kind of.
And the flavors are really well blended, so it's hard to pick out individual flavors anyway, right?
Yeah, it's pretty uniform.
Yeah, pretty uniform.
Yeah.
So on the Rabbit Hole Derringer whiskey, definitely a cherry flavor that's very enjoyable. I would say raisins or similar dried fruit, almonds, vanilla, and then of course your spice. So interesting flavor profile on the Derringer. Definitely tastes like bourbon, but I think the vanilla and almond kind of flavors are a little bit heavier than in a lot of bourbons where you just kind of have that sweet corn flavor.
Where did the first 95% of this bottle go?
In my belly.
Do you remember how you enjoyed it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it with a cigar? Was it with friends? Was it with...
Yeah, it was with friends. It was with a whiskey club in a cigar lounge. And we tried it, just kind of straight sips to kind of, here's what it really tastes like, so to speak. And then most of us drank it straight or with like one rock.
Yeah.
I poured mine over, we've got these little button ice cubes, they're not like ice cube tray ice cubes. They're the little round ones. I think I put 2 of those in a rocks glass. Gave myself a healthy pour. And then we started smoking some cigars with it. I had a, what is that? The bento box.
Oh, yeah, Punch.
Yeah, by Punch. I had one of those. I can't remember which one.
Yeah. It's like chop suey.
Chop suey, that's what I had.
Yeah,
had the chop suey. So yeah, it was. It ended up going faster than faster than I planned on. So
that's funny.
All right, so we are going to do long inhale, hold the cigar smoke, slam the whiskey.
Not an inhale.
Draw.
Yeah.
Long draw. Hold the smoke in your mouth. Slam the whiskey. We're going to try that method.
So we're going to do...
This is the exciting one.
Yeah, this one's...
It might make you vomit.
This is the Evil Knievel.
This is the Evil Knievel. Yeah. All right, here we go. Woo! I like the smoke in our glass.
Yeah. Wow, that was awesome.
That was really awesome.
That method's always fun. That's a lot of fun. Holy crap.
It is. That is a lot of fun. Too many of those, though, and you're definitely killing your palate.
I'm going to take a nap on the couch in the lounge.
Yeah. Okay, so to me, that brought like an explosion of fruit flavor when I did that. Like dried cherries.
What are you marketing for Gushers?
Yes,
it was like fruit flavor.
It was like fruit gush. Yeah, so like this fresh cherry burst, dried cherries, dried currants, dried raisins. All of that really came out with that method.
Yeah, I'm with you. I did get some vanilla too.
Yeah. Like on the finish.
Yep.
It's almost like you have a like if you had a cherry that was soaked in like Almagnac.
Almagnac.
Yeah. Almond liqueur.
Sure.
Almost like that.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. I was thinking cherry vanilla Coke.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I was thinking. But I am a simpleton.
Well, it did, since you bring it up, it was sweeter.
Yeah, it was.
Like, that definitely brought some sweetness out.
Yeah.
I wonder what our gold Johnny Midas Phantom of the Opera studio art thinks about this whole performance. Yeah, smoke output is good on the cigar. The burn is really good. Construction is good. I'm picking up a little more like vegetal bitter as I'm exploring the second third.
Mm-hmm.
The leather component has really faded to the background. Definitely a floral, sweet note on there. And the spice is still very low,
Yeah.
for
It is. You're right.
for a Nicaraguan filler.
It's not bitey at all.
This is like surprisingly mild.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's still mid-bodied, but I think I expected a little bit more based on what it's made out of.
So then let's talk about the pairing, right? Because the pairing, it's a 93 proof.
Yeah.
So this, like, if you take a puff and then you take a sip, like the whiskey screams.
Yeah.
And the cigar
whispers.
right.
Yeah.
So what is I'm trying to figure out what the best way to consume this pairing is. Like, is it like,
I don't know. Here's
man.
what I think I would do. I think that, I would probably sip the whiskey, probably over rocks. I want to blunt it a little bit, from pairing it with the cigar.
For sure.
I would probably sip it and like prep my palate and then smoke the cigar. And I think what I've noticed is like the whiskey definitely makes the cigar stronger. I think because the alcohol like sensitizes your taste buds or whatever.
Yeah.
It makes it a little sharper, a little stronger.
Right.
That's probably how I would go about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm with you. Very interesting though that usually you have to, when you're going to do a cigar and whiskey pairing or even a collaboration like this where you kind of intend for the two to be consumed together, you want the cigar to kind of stand up closer to the whiskey, but these are pretty far apart in terms of
Yeah, I think so.
like palate strength.
Yeah, I think the best one that we've done is actually the Cohiba Weller pairing.
Do you?
Yeah, because that cigar just turned into a really good smokable cigar once you added the Weller. Without it,
That's true.
it had like too many flavors fighting each other.
You're right about that. Yeah, you're right about that.
And then the M81, the cigar by itself is just so one note, kind of heavy. So it definitely held its own.
Yeah.
Like that was a strong cigar.
That's what I'm saying though. Like
Yeah.
it's like they made that cigar so that you could smoke it and then distinctly differentiate between the whiskey
Right.
and the cigar.
Right. This one, not so much. They're pretty far apart. Like you're going to have to be delicate if you want to enjoy both at the same time, which is fine.
Yeah.
I enjoy going into a cigar lounge and, being a gentleman.
Yeah.
And sipping my whiskey
Right.
and sipping my cigar. I'm not here to chug all the time. Sometimes I am. But you do. I think you're going to have to be careful, with this pairing because you could easily. I mean, if you're drinking this neat and you get halfway through a glass,
Oh, dude.
I mean, forget about it. Like you're not even tasting the cigar.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's just nicotine at that point.
Yeah. And you think that's because the alcohol is so strong?
Yeah,
The tastes are so strong.
Yeah, it's a very flavorful and high alcohol content, whiskey, and then the cigar is just a mid-bodied, like the nuance. It's so nuanced.
Yeah. Yeah.
And alcohol's not great for helping you detect nuance.
The cigar, I mean, I'll be honest, man, the flavor on the cigar is faint. The flavor, the distinctive flavors are faint.
Yeah.
And that's okay. It's not all cigars are meant to taste like cashews, right?
Yeah, yeah. What's interesting about this cigar is I think I would prefer to smoke it like not paired. Like I think it's a good cigar to just smoke, but it takes a little bit of energy and effort to pick it apart. So I'd almost want to smoke it on its own.
I disagree, which is awesome. Apparently that's good for viewership. I think this cigar needs the whiskey.
Okay. Tell me more.
I just think that it's on its own. It's not enough. I think it's like white rice. I think this cigar is like white rice, and the whiskey's like the
Special sauce.
sure.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, interesting take.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the weather change, right? So we're rolling into fall. I mean, I got up early this morning to watch the sunrise with my coffee, and it was like 50 degrees, and I've got my fleece hooded robe that I wear. Most of us smoke cigars in a lounge or outdoors, and there's a reason for that, which is, cigar smoke is dirty and smelly, and most of us don't smoke it indoors.
Yeah.
I have a couple of friends with cigar lounges built into their basements. They're fucking awesome. Most of us don't have that. And so, how do you prepare for colder weather if you're smoking outside?
Yeah.
And, the hardcore guys will be like, you just smoke it like in the summer. Light
sure.
it up and light it up and chug. I think maybe, for a lot of our listeners, a little more prep than that is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
Right. So a couple of things. The first is make sure you have an appropriate lighter. You probably want a butane torch, something that burns hot and stays lit, but you don't want to leave it outside because
I was gonna say I have screaming advice.
yeah.
Don't leave it outside and then expect it to work right when you pick it up.
Butane below a certain temperature will not catch fire.
Yeah.
So,
is that true?
Yeah.
Chemistry and stuff.
Yeah, and it's the combustion temperature is actually kind of high.
Even though it feels cold.
I think it's like 45 degrees or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Below that, it just won't light. You can stick it in your pocket or in your crotch and warm it up. Old trick there.
Yeah.
But keep your lighter inside.
But even still, that'll take 5-10 minutes.
Oh, it'll take a while. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now in the summer, I have several butane torches I just leave on the porch.
Right.
There's not going to get hurt. I have a covered porch, but
I was gonna say maybe don't do direct sunlight, but yeah.
yeah, like my I have a pavilion adjacent to my porch, but in the winter, they got to come inside. Also, don't smoke Lanceros or smaller ring gauge cigars. What tends to happen is a larger percentage of the cigar is too cold to smolder, and of course, it's all the wrapper. And you kind of need that meat in the middle to keep the cigar warm enough so the wrapper keeps burning. Yeah. You'll find, Lanceros are hard to smoke outside anyway, just because of airflow and wind and stuff. But in the cold, they really suck. They just go out, or you tunnel or something like that.
Well, I think that's an important point too. Is if you're gonna, let's say everyone's house is 70 degrees. If you're gonna take that cigar that you've been storing in your house at 70 degrees for six months, and you're going to light it on fire and take it outside, and it's 35 degrees, 40 degrees, 45 degrees outside, right? That's going to, the cigar's going to get cold, but it's going to be warm. That's a very quick, rapid temperature change for that cigar. Yeah. And so I expect a lot of, wrapper, no thank you. I expect a lot of wrapper cracking and, and just be careful on that end, because if you smoke it too fast, right, then you're really going to have, I think, some issues with the construction.
And, of course, if you store your cigars outside, so I've got several friends with outdoor humidors in the summer, if they get cold, good luck. You're going to split that wrapper in a heartbeat.
So quickly.
And, of course, you have to worry about dehumidification when it's colder.
Yeah, that's right.
So
what's your tip? I have a tip.
Go ahead.
So if you are a guy that normally uses 65 or 69% Boveda in the summer months or in the more humid months, it's a good idea to step it up to 72 or 75 during the winter months, because the air outside is that much drier.
Yep. I do 65 and 70.
65 in the winter, 65 in the summer, 70 in the winter.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I do. Yeah. Good tip. So you can keep smoking outdoors, right up until the snow falls. And then my recommendation is, when it gets to the point where your fingers get cold, go to the lounge.
Yeah, that's
right.
What
That's what it's there for, So, and it's interesting, all of the sales data that I have from all of my friends across the U.S. who own cigar shops, cigar sales drop off in the winter. And one reason for that is it's harder to smoke outside,
right,
or less enjoyable to smoke outside. Right. Well, guess what? The lounge is indoors, and it is heated and humidity controlled and everything else. So come on in and enjoy yourself.
Holy crap! We have TV, and there's a restroom right here, and
oh yeah. And you don't have to pee as often because you're not out in the cold.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah.
All right. With that, it is time for our cigar news of the week. Here's your host, Nicholas McCann.
Cigar News. Here is your host, Nicholas McCann.
Intertobac's happening, I think, which is super cool. Intertobac is like the big Germany trade show. It's like European market trade show, which is really interesting. Like us in the U.S. market don't. I don't know. We know about PCA. You know that trade show that happens in what used to be in Vegas.
New Orleans now, right?
It's it's moving there next year, I believe.
Yeah.
And then like Pro Cigar it's another conglomerate of companies that takes place in the Dominican. But Intertobac is like the one that takes place in Germany, and it's like a European centric kind of event.
I know the Middle East highly attends Intertobac.
Yep. Yeah. Anyone that's not, anyone that's across the pond is going to be, and so like we'll see like a lot of releases and stuff like PCA-esque releases, right? So like so-and-so company releases blah, blah, blah at Intertobac. And so that is what that is. I'm just reading all these new releases for Intertobac, and it's just, Trinidad, dude, you like this cigar, the Trinidad Espiritu?
Yeah.
They made a number 3.
Interesting.
So it's coming to stores on Halloween.
All right. What's different? What's changed?
So the number 1 was
Strong.
right. The number 2 is the Brazilian. The number 1 was the. Let me see if I can't find. I want to say the number 1's a Habano. Oh, yeah. Number 1's a Nicaraguan Puro.
Yep.
Number 2 is the Brazilian wrapper, and then this one is going to be a Mexican San Andres.
Interesting.
Binder and filler Nicaragua, and it looks like the one there. Oh, the wrapper's being described as extra fermented, which sounds really good. But the pictures they're showing too is it's a Bellicoso.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Interesting.
which is super exciting.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's huge. The Trinidad line is obviously it's a Cuban heritage brand that Altadis kind of picked up and ran with in the American market. But the Trinidads are good.
Yeah, I remember the Espiritu number 1 was very strong, and if you like Nicaraguan puros, great cigar. And then the number 2 is a little milder. A lot of people like the balance better, So I'll be interested in this one. Mexican San Andres is a really interesting wrapper, and I guess time flies. I guess it's been like 10 years ago where it kind of emerged as like a specialty wrapper, and people were a little iffy about it.
Sure.
But the quality was there.
Yeah.
It just had like more of a dirty, earthy taste to it.
Yeah.
And now it's like in such demand that, it's getting expensive.
Right.
I think the new Mexican San Andres is like Pennsylvania Broadleaf and Connecticut Broadleaf. Even that's getting, thanks to Foundation and some of these guys, like it's starting to get a name.
Right.
So it's probably going to go up in price too. So next stop, Costa Rica.
Yeah. El Septimo.
Yeah, or Honduras. I don't think there's a lot
Honduras
of rappers.
is awesome.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lot of rappers that come out of Honduras.
And then I think the last bit of news is the Avo Seasons Fall Limited Edition 2023 went on sale, which is really cool. They released a spring, summer, fall, and they're going to release a winter, and the blend's different every time. It's a 10-count box with a slide-off glass top.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
They're all like Diadema.
Yeah.
Figurado-shaped cigars. So I had the spring, and it was excellent.
I like Avo.
Yeah.
I like Avo's stuff. Not, not super affordable, but worth it. Okay. With that, it is time for a break. Keep your dials locked in to Burnline Podcast. We'll be right back. Hi, everybody. This is Johnny Midas. This week, my personal smoke is the New World Oscuro by A.J. Fernandez. This is a beautiful box-pressed cigar with the New World by A.J. Fernandez band and a red ribbon wrapper on the foot that is glued, not taped, very easy to remove. The wrapper is a dark Nicaraguan wrapper, juicy and delicious looking. The binder is from Jalapa, and the fillers are from Ometepe, Condego, and Esteli. I like to pair this cigar with a strong black coffee. It smokes well, it's strong. Rated 94 by Cigar Journal. and was a top 25 cigar of the year in 2014 by Cigar Journal. Comes in a wooden flip-top box and is very affordable in price point. I would recommend you give it a try, and join us as always for our cigar recommendations and more on Burnline Podcast. At Burnline Podcast on the socials, and of course, drop us a line. What are you smoking this week, and what would you like us to review? burnlinepodcast@gmail.com. I'm Johnny Midas. Thanks for joining. And we're back from the break with our Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer. This is an AJ Fernandez collab. It scored a 91 from Cigar Aficionado when it came out, 92 from Cigar Snob, and was ranked in the top 25 by Cigar Co-op in 2019. This is a mid-bodied cigar. The wrapper is Connecticut Broadleaf, the binder is Brazilian, and the filler is Nicaraguan. Ometepe, Jalapa, Condego. And yeah, it's a mid-bodied smoke. We paired it with this Rabbit Hole Derringer. Pretty good whiskey. But I think it's time to talk about our final tasting notes and then wrap this up with a ranking. So, we're in the final third. I'll go ahead and start Nick the Brick. I got to say, it is a flat cigar.
Yeah.
It's definitely mid-bodied. Definitely a lot less strength than I would expect from looking at the blend. I'm guessing, more middle-lower primings on it.
Right. Yeah, just because of the makeup is, when you think broadleaf, Brazilian, Nicaraguan, that's like, those are three, whether or not they're super full-bodied, it's going to be certainly like a flavorful. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm getting, definitely getting floral, not much spice at all. I think it was, I think the spice came out, with the whiskey a little bit, but it was almost stronger on the first inch.
Yeah.
A little bit of sweetness, some of that bourbon barrel flavor. But other than that, a pretty flat and pretty one-note cigar, to be honest with you.
It looks like the Toro is a 6x50. I would try it in the Toro just to see if the ratios change anything, right? Because the difference between a 58 and a 50 is a lot. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I think that I just got like a little bit of dark chocolate bitter. But yeah, for the most part, it's been one note, and it's all been the same.
And so my argument is try the cigar on its own to try to pick apart the flavors, and yours is try it with the whiskey to add flavor.
Yeah,
so
right,
I think,
exactly.
Yeah, I think both are kind of legit approaches. So why don't we go ahead and rank this cigar? And we start with presentation. Nick, what have you got for presentation?
Matched the purples. Otherwise, I like it a lot. I think this is because it's sherry cask, right? Which is like kind of the color of the purples, like kind of that red winey port purplish. I mean, I like it a lot. I just wish that would match the colors a little bit better. So 8
from Nick on presentation. I gave it a 7 for presentation. I think it's a good presentation. I like how the band matches the bottle. I'm not a big fan of the giant 1.5 foot band on it. And I'm not a fan of how difficult it was to take both bands off. But the colors are nice, and they just match the Rabbit Hole branding, except they messed up the color. So, it's part of the color palette, but it also, call me picky, but I would want it to match. Like, you put all the other effort in.
Yeah, right.
The whiskey bottle is much more on the pink-red side, and the cigar is much more on the purple side, right? So, difference between a tint and a shade.
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about price. And these usually run around $9. Depends on the state you're in, how much taxes you have to pay, that sort of thing. But kind of continues Diesel's tradition of affordable cigars, for sure. So, Nick, where are you at on price for this one?
I'm gonna say maybe something that's oxymoronic, but it's a great value, but not a great cigar. So 7. Like it's a good, like, I don't know. Nobody's complaining about paying $9 for a 6x58.
Right.
But what do you get?
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I've got a 7 for price as well. Really, nothing to add there. Like $9 is a good price for a cigar this size, but it's not a great cigar. So, it's not really a value. I guess I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It's affordable,
Yeah.
but it's not a value.
Right.
And flavor. What have we got there, Nick?
Jeez, man. Ooh. The first number that came to my head just now was rough.
And it was
4.
4 on flavor from Nick.
Holy cannoli. There just wasn't any.
Yeah. So I had a 5 for flavor. So I think we're real close on that. Yeah, same for me. Like, there's just not a lot of flavor, and it doesn't change. Like you said, the sort of cocoa bitter kind of picked up in the second, third. Yeah. Other than that, very flat, very one note, and most of all, just not a lot of flavor there.
Dude, so, I don't. This might be a caveat, but I don't know. Like, when I was driving here this morning, I was like, this is going to be interesting because I don't smoke a lot of barrel aged cigars, right? I don't have, and literally my thought was, I don't have a good outlook on how I find quote unquote flavored cigars to taste like.
Right.
Because when you hear barrel aged, I expect overwhelming amount of flavor.
Right.
And this was like on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to calibrate your palate, a Perdomo Habano series, bourbon barrel aged tobacco, is a great example of a cigar that, it's not infused or flavored, but the tobacco leaves are aged in bourbon casks to give you an idea of like how that affects the flavor.
Yeah.
But of course, those are Nicaraguan puros, and they're spicy and a lot more flavor than this.
Right. Yeah. It's like, all right, what part of this is from the barrel, and what part of this is from the the actual tobaccos themselves, flavor wise. But yeah.
Of course, the Perdomos retail for about the same.
Right.
So,
right.
That kind of explains our rating on price. And then how about construction? So on mine, I didn't have any issues with construction. You can see where I clipped nice and firm. Of course, I attribute that to my authoritative clipping. All of the parts, the cap, the wrapper, they stayed bonded together, burned well, firm ash, stacking dimes. Good burn line. It's not like razor straight, but it follows the contours of the natural veins and stuff in the wrapper. And of course, as a Connecticut Broadleaf Madero, it does have like pronounced veins, and that affects the burn line. Yeah. It stayed well lit, good smoke output.
Yeah.
I've got an 8 on construction.
Okay.
Nick, what have you got?
8. Sorry, 8's fine as well. I was going to give it an 8. I agree with what you said, and the smoke output was pretty heavy. Mm-hmm. I don't know if like this is just because of the bigger gauge, but it's like very smoky in here.
I think it is because the smoke itself is not heavy.
It's not, yeah, right. I'm with you.
But there's a lot of smoke output.
Right, they're just burning a lot of tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no consider the draw was good. There was enough back pressure, as you say.
Yeah.
The ash was kind of flaky, but it held on for inch long.
Yeah.
Segments, which was good. Yeah. 8.
All right, and that brings us to experience. So, Nick, after smoking this Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer, what's your overall experience?
6. I don't know.
6 from Nick on experience?
I don't really. This is I don't know. Didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I had a 5 on experience. For similar, like, in this price point, you have choices. Not as many as in the $12 range, but you have choices, and most of them are better. The flavor's not bad. There's just not enough of it. There was nothing to really grab your attention. And then when you think about use case, it's like, well, we're pairing it with this not inexpensive, whiskey.
High proof.
High proof.
Yeah.
It doesn't stand on its own legs, so that's a little bit of a problem. Yeah. And then, could you smoke it outdoors? Sure, but I don't think it's robust enough. Could you smoke it in the lounge? Yeah, if you want to pay attention and pick the tastes apart, for sure, but you're not going to do that more than once, probably.
And I would advise you to exercise caution if you're looking to pick the tastes apart for this cigar, because that seems to me, after having smoked it once, right, which is not I don't think enough, but that's grasping for straws. I think to pick apart the flavor on the cigar is like,
yeah, and I think having smoked this one, I would recommend the Toro if people are going to try it. Just give a chance to like the higher wrapper ratio, of a smaller ring gauge. So I want to be a little fair, but that gives it a total score of 34, which is not very good. So that's kind of our take on the Deisel Whiskey Row Rabbit Hole Dareringer. I don't know. Any closing thoughts or comments?
This is a cigar that if I'm looking to put smoke in the air and I have this cigar in my humidor, I'll smoke.
Yeah, and it is affordable. So if you're looking for a bigger ring gauge, high smoke output cigar, it doesn't taste bad. It's just there's not a lot of taste.
If you want to cut the grass or fish with it, I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah,
but I think that's about the extent of it.
Yeah, agree. And that is all that we have got this week on Burnline Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to meeting you again next week.